Hello everybody, this is Stardust Express, Angelika Simpson. My show is about truth issues, mysteries, new physics, consciousness, metaphysics, health, spirituality, science, music, sacred science. I want to continue presenting ancient history that is disguised as mythology and legends. And I want to close my show tonight by giving you some nice vision work to do that we will be doing together to improve the state of your mind, to improve the state of your eyes. I hope you will enjoy it, and I hope it will be really good for you. So let's start my show. The Lost History channel, TKTC, made an interesting video about the following. They entitled it "Scorched Land Reveals Lost Civilization." Have you seen on the internet the effects of the recent heat wave? From the International Space Station, scorched land across the planet was clearly visible. The deadly heat wave has affected every continent on our planet. The warm weather, however, has had its positive effects on the British Isles, where years of raining summers had kept hidden a past that nobody anticipated, even existed. Nobody realized that. The experts started to document what has just been discovered. The scorching weeks of the summer 2018 left crops shriveled and gardens scorched. It has also revealed the lines of scores of archaeological sites across the UK landscape, tracing millennia of human activity from Neolithic monuments laid out more than 5,000 years ago to the outline of a long demolished Tudor hall as its intended replacement. Lost sites have been turning up all over Britain and Ireland, shown up as parch marks from the air. A treasure trove of discoveries, including ancient field boundaries, lost villages, burial mounds, and military structures, was revealed and recorded during the summer by aerial archaeologists flying over the landscape of historic England, who are reported as saying, "The discovery of ancient settlements, farms, and Neolithic curses, monuments is exciting. The exceptional weather has opened up whole areas at once, rather than one or two fields. And it has been fascinating to see so many traces of our past geographically revealed. The results are still being assessed, but Damien Grady, the aerial reconnaissance manager for Historical England, said, "This has been one of my busiest summers in 20 years of flying. There's particular excitement over 4 Iron Age square bows at Padmington in the Yorkshire Wolds. Their distinctive shape is rare nationally, but others in Yorkshire have also been excavated to reveal spectacular burials with grave goods, including chariots. These discoveries include 2 cursus monuments on the outskirts of Milton Keynes, which are some of the oldest and enigmatic prehistoric field monuments in Britain. The long street-side enclosure, some of several kilometers in length, were laid out between 6,000 and 5,000 years ago. They were named by early antiquarians who believed they were used for chariot races, but they are now believed by some they have formed part of a ritual processional routes. One of the two discoveries found as an aerial photography in laser scanning project in North Bedfordshire had been hidden under a medieval bag which is gradually being ploughed away. Among dozens of sites revealed in Cornwall, where an unusual prehistoric settlement surrounded by concrete ditches and rectangular structures within one field at St. Ives revealed evidence of continuity of settlement for at least 5,000 years. What is believed to be a Roman farm with buildings, fields and paddocks has shown off in Devon and in Somerset. 4 Bronze and Iron Age farms had been spotted. One shows signs of having been abandoned and a new settlement built on top. In Oxfordshire, a circular pit, a burial mound and traces of settlement have revealed themselves. They were previously spotted and protected as a scheduled monument, but have been invisible for many years. So what I find very interesting in these discoveries now, through the drought, is the understanding that there is a continuity of settlement over at least 5,000 years. And the same channel, the Lost History channel, had another article, which I found very, very interesting, called about ancient Egypt. And it's called Egyptian Pregnancy Test Discovered. The new findings from the University of Copenhagen about this unique collection of papyrus they have in their collection. These still mostly untranslated contents of the ancient text makes for a pretty compelling insight into the dynastic period of ancient Egypt. At the university, they have 3,500 years old medical text, long before the Greeks or Romans wrote about the human body. One side of the old manuscript describes unusual treatments for eye diseases. The other side describes the ancient Egyptian equivalent of a pregnancy test and scan. The text says that the pregnant woman should urinate into a bag of barley and a bag of wheat. Depending on which bag sprouts first, reveals the gender of the child. And if neither of the bags sprouts, that she was not pregnant. Research revealed that the ideas recorded in the Egyptian text spread far down the African continent. Many of the ideas of the medical texts from ancient Egypt appear again in later Greek and Roman texts. From here, they spread further to the medieval medical texts in the Middle East. And you can find traces all up to pre-modern medicine. The same pregnancy test used by the Egyptians is referred to by a collection of German folklore from 1699 that puts things into perspective, and it shows that the Egyptians' ideas have left traces thousands of years later. Translating the unpublished text is important work, according to Egyptologist Hans Fischer, from the Department of Egyptology, University of Leipzig. We have a very fragmented knowledge of the natural sciences in ancient Egypt. Therefore, every single contribution is important. Today, there are still a number of sources that theoretically are known by scientists, but sat dormant in various collections around the world, without anyone looking at them in detail. The time has come to recognize them. My next article I want to present is from the Mystery History Channel. It's called "A Stela Explaining Sphinx and Pyramids Found in Giza?" Most researchers and archaeologists are stating that the Sphinx and the pyramids are far older than currently attested. The premise is that all the hieroglyphs found all over Egypt are a mere 4,000 years old. That's what we are being told. However, the Sphinx and the pyramids are far older. Why are there no hieroglyphs in the Great Pyramids? Additionally, why were there never any steps or stairs built into these awkward kind of structures? Is this the clue to the past function of the pyramids? Were they never intended to be entered by humans? Not only is the absence of Egyptian art a clue, but it also indicates that these structures were not constructed by the same people. If they were constructed by the same people, why did they never document this task? There, in fact, exists an artifact within Giza which was quoted as a must-see artifact by Zachariah Sitchin. This inconspicuous stone, known as the inventory stele, amazingly is an authentic inventory left by King Khufu. It not only supports the above regarding the Giza Plateau, but it has been concluded from many avenues of research that it is a description, a written description of the Egyptian civilization, about what happened on the plateau, including the Sphinx, and more accurately, Giza's inventory stela, and more accurately Anubis. Giza's inventory stela, Zachariah Sitchin wrote in his book Journeys to the Mythical Past, that the stela was irrefutable proof provided by Khufu himself that he did not build the Great Pyramid, and that the pyramid and Sphinx were already there in his time. Predictably, the stela is simply ignored. However, some like James Breasted, who was a British archaeologist, and he went to Egypt to dig up incredibly important finds in 1904. He commendably included the inventory stela in his official list of 4th dynasty artifacts, stating that regardless of opinion, that it bore all the marks of authenticity. Regarding the Sphinx, the text says that lightning once struck the head, destroying a large portion. Khufu then had the head recarved into what we see today. He then built his temple in the vicinity of the house of the Sphinx. Interestingly, renovated the Great Pyramid. The Stela inventory not only confirms many things we have already come to suspect took place within Giza, but additionally, the mounting evidence is indicating that conventional archaeology about the Giza Plateau is not accurate. In 1906, the British archaeologist Breasted wrote in Egypt, in their video, they did not state what the head looked like before Khufu recarved it, which is true. They did not say this at all. The alignment of the Sphinx does not relate to any other plateau feature, but is aligned with the constellation of Leo. It is therefore most likely a sculpture of a lion. There is one theory. Another theory states that the large hole on top of the head was originally a socket used to mount the larger head of Anubis. Anubis is the jackal dog in Egypt. Most likely it was made of granite, considering its proportions. Sirius is the brightest and most important star in the sky for the ancient Egyptians and was known as the dog star. As part of Canis Major, it is understood by the Dogon tribe of Mali to be the origin of the ancient architects responsible for the Giza Plateau, as well as many other ancient structures. So there is the great debate going on, and I have looked at many arguments for people saying the origin. Everybody understands the head that we see on the Sphinx now is not the original one. But the argument now is, some people say very convincingly, it has been a lion, and the whole structure looks like a lion's body anyway, and it's orientated to the star system of Leo, which would make sense. And the others say it has to be Anubis, because a great part of the Egyptian spiritual belief system, considering Isis and Osiris and so on, was related to the star Sirius, which is part of the major, Canis Major, which is the dog star. And then for them it had to be Anubis. So we will see. I hope one day they will find true evidence what originally has been there. Another big question is the age of these monuments of the Sphinx and of the pyramids. And there are lots of inscriptions, particularly in the old pyramid text, that the dynastic pharaonic Egyptians just moved into the structures that had been already there. So it's an enormous age related to probably the whole Giza plateau and to the Sphinx and the pyramids. It will be very exciting to find out more about that. And the ancient architects made an interesting video, which I think is showing very clearly how the mass media is using people's interest in ancient Egypt to make sensational headlines about artifacts being found and draw conclusions, so that people buy the newspapers, or they get advertisers who advertise for them. So it's a whole business transaction. And the article from the ancient architects is the headline, "Second Sphinx found in Egypt?" An Egyptian Sphinx statue was found by workmen on a road that connects Luxor Temple to Karnak Temple. Sphinx statues are not uncommon in this area. They line walkways to several new discoveries, and several new discoveries have been made in recent years. This, of course, is a great discovery, what these newspapers are writing about. But according to ancient architects, it is not even worth making a video about. The story published on the news website Egypt Today is descriptive and honest. But the UK tabloid press have caught on and sensationalized it. The Daily Mail's headline read, "Has Egypt's second Sphinx been found?" Ancient statue with a lion's body and a human head is unearthed by stunned construction workers. They have added the buzzword "stunned" to make it more exciting. They know that what has been found is nothing like the Great Sphinx of Giza. Egyptian authorities make no claims it could be another Great Sphinx. The Daily Express even reports Egypt's second Sphinx found in capital letters. Ancient statue discovered during road works. All that has been found is one of many small Sphinx statues in Egypt. The Sun newspaper even reports secrets of the past new ancient Egyptian Sphinx found, buried near the Valley of the Kings in bombshell discovery. For a start, it is 6 miles away from the Valley of the Kings, and nobody, apart from the Sun journalist, has called this a bombshell discovery. The actual story is this. An ancient statue was found on Al-Kaaba Road that connects Luxor Temple with Karnak Temple. Here's the Sphinx with a lion's body and human head, and is still in the ground to preserve it until lifting equipment arrives. It probably lined the ancient road between the two temples back in antiquity, and is of course thousands of years younger than the Great Sphinx, and has nothing to do with the great structure of Giza. So this is another example of people have to be very careful about news about ancient Egypt and do a lot of research to find the truth. And even then, it's difficult to decide. There are so many arguments that sounds reasonable and sounds good and makes sense. But then, if you're not really there, it's hard to say what the truth really is. So these are the articles I wanted to present today, and I want to give you something to think about. And if you're interested to research further yourself, and for example, the question of how did the Sphinx really look like in its original form is very interesting, because it comes down to two completely different belief systems, two completely different approaches, and maybe two completely different ages of construction. Because the Sphinx, if it would have been a lion's head and aligned to the Leo star system, it could have been 15,000 years old. And there was another Leo constellation if I remember correctly, about 35,000 years ago. So the age of the Sphinx is very hard, very difficult to define so far. I hope they will discover a method or a technology that can really clearly calculate age of stone. So that would be really very, very exciting. With this, I want to conclude my presentation for today, and I want to give you something, some vision work to do together to improve the state of your eyes, state of your mind. And I hope you will all join me with this. What I want you to do is firstly, relax, sit back comfortably, remove your glasses, remove your contact lenses if possible. If not possible, leave them in. I give you a moment to do that. And now I want you, from wherever you're sitting, wherever you are, to look around and see whatever you can see. Be aware of, firstly, what your eyes are interested in. If they're interested in anything at all, they might just skim around and think, okay, that's it. And be aware how your face feels, how your whole eye area feels, if it is a bit tense, tired, whatever, after the hard day's work, and just be aware of how it feels now before we do any work. And now I want to do palming with you like I did last time. And I explain again how we are going to do this. Palming comes from palm of the hand. That's the word. When you palm, there's no outside light stimulating your visual system. Therefore, the light that your imagination employs to create the colored images in your visual field comes from your own inner lighting department, so to speak. And if you haven't called upon your lighting crew for some time, just be patient. It will happen. Your team will soon produce some wonderful visual effects for you. What I want you to do now is take your two hands, rub them together. Try to make your hands really, really warm. And then have your fingers crossed like I do here. And I put my crossed fingers over the bridge of my nose. Cover my eyes without squeezing my eyes at all. It's just to shut out the light. And I have my eyes closed. Please do the same. And support your arms somewhere, maybe on the table, if you're sitting at a table, or support your arms on your knees so that you're sitting comfortable and that your arms are not getting tired. And when you are in that kind of comfortable position, with your eyes closed, your hands over your eyes so that no light can enter, I want you to take your time and with your eyes closed, look around and find out what you can see. If you see complete blackness, if you see some kind of grayness with some light coming through, whatever, just be aware. Some people see colors, some people see the universe, whatever. Just be aware what you can see. And then I want you to be aware if you have a sense of space. If you have a sense of space in front of you, and then to your left and to your right as well. Just be aware. And now have a look again. So whatever you saw before might have changed. You might get a sense of movement in there. Maybe the blackness is not so black anymore. Whatever it is, just be aware, just take notice of it. And please, I'm reading a story to you, and all the time, please leave your eyes closed and leave your palms over your eyes. So, imagine you are standing on a green, grass-covered hillside near the ocean. You reach down into the fresh grasses to pluck a dandelion. You bring the flower closer to you and note its shape and glowing color. You take in a breath of crisp ocean air and let your attention slide down the hill to the beige, sandy beach. There is a clump of driftwood sculpted into baroque shapes, reminiscent of sea serpents. You savor the liquid quality of the ocean. First, whispering waves on the sand, then a band of turquoise far out. Farther away, you see a layer of navy blue merging into a silver line at the horizon. In the distance, tiny sailboats sprout, slowly gliding out of view beyond the waves. The sailboats twinkle whitely in your mind. They speak to you of holidays and ocean breezes on your cheeks. You are able to see one of those sailboats as clearly as if it were in your hand or in your bath. Settle into this place that you both remember and imagine. Yawning fully in the salty air, you begin to expand. You are able to feel yourself. Your perception increases. Now you see the moon glowing silver in the pale blue sky. A round smoothness in which you can trace craters, seas, and mountains. With inspiring deep breathing, you expand once again to solar size. The 9 planets are waltzing around the sun. In the background, stars are laughing in the giant black velvet cushion of space. The galaxies spin and spiral gaily. They circle your mind, then twirl away to vibrate dimly at the dusty edges of the universe. Ah, there, to your left, a nova celebrates its demise in red and green fireworks that splash across the light years. Away off to your right, you see a tiny black hole sipping up all its neighboring stars. Are they happy to go? In a rush, they hurry to their de-enlightenment. Coming back towards your own center, you re-enter the area of soul. There's Mars, red and striated. Venus rises green as grass. Saturn rings merrily, and Pluto prowls the edge of the dance, dark and hermetic. The planets you may visit again whenever you wish, and the sun you will come back to daily. Now come back to the ocean and this tide of ground that supports you as you say, "See you soon," to the moon and to the dandelion, which is draped over your knee. Remain in the internal feeling of spaciousness as you bring your attention back to your physical space. You have experienced that vision lives in you. This vision lives in your imagination, in your visual system, and is accessible to you at any time. Allow this inner sense of vision to flow into the world as you open your eyes softly. So remove your hands, lean back, comfortable wherever you're sitting. Slowly open your eyes. Just enjoy the feeling of the images and the areas where you have just been to in your imagination, the distances, colors. And again, now I want you, wherever you are, just to look around. What you can see now, what you're interested in now, how it feels, how your eyes feel, how your body feels. Just to compare. And of course how your mind feels, how the tension is in your body. When we did this little exercise, you might have noticed that your mind was completely focused on the images of whatever I was talking about, to follow it with your eyes closed. And so your brain could completely relax and just focus on this, whatever was coming up. So this is really good to do for your memory, for example, for your ability to focus on any task ahead, because it's so hard in our daily life to do one thing at one time, to have one thought at one time. And so many things are coming and going all the time. So it's just nice to be in a space where nothing else is happening, only the moment, whatever we are going to whatever the story is leading us to. And I want to finish now with doing some nose work, because in the work I do with people, I rarely work with the eyes, usually with the nose. I know it sounds funny, but when the brain has to focus on the nose and to produce what we want the nose to do, then the eyes can just relax and space out and be completely free and can do the work they are supposed to be doing. So what I want you to do now is to get a feeling for your nose. Here, feel it, it's there. So that you have an idea where your nose is in space. And just let your nose, imagine your nose as a pencil attached. Or that you are Pinocchio and you have this long nose of Pinocchio. All I want you to do is just draw a few circles into the air with your nose. Forget about the eyes, they don't have to do anything. Just think nose and do the circles. And now let your nose draw a few triangles into the air. Again, forget about the eyes, they don't have to do anything. Your nose does all the work. Last thing, let's draw a few squares into the air. Okay? So what I want you to do now is all of you to have your eyes closed, to sit comfortable and relax. And now with your eyes closed, let your nose draw a few circles into the air. And this probably feels completely different. Leave your eyes closed, please, all the time. Now let the circle turn into a beach ball and draw the beach ball. Give it all the colors you like in a beach ball. Stop when you have finished, but don't open your eyes. Now let your nose draw a triangle. And let this triangle turn into a house and sketch the house. And again, stop when you are finished, but don't open your eyes. The last thing I want you to do is to have your nose drawn a square and let the square turn into a cube and draw the cube with your nose. When you have finished, stop and slowly open your eyes. Take it slowly because it might be quite bright at first. And again, look around in your environment. See how you feel, how your head feels, how your eyes feel. Just compare, just be aware. And this little exercise, you might have noticed that is quite a challenge to get the colors into the beach ball, for example. And your house, you might find it quite funny because most people would draw a house like they would do in school, first year in school. It looks like this, a roof, two windows, a door, and that's it. But that's fine. Then the next thing is the cube, which is not easy to do because we are dealing here with a three-dimensional object in space. So I very much hope you enjoyed this little exercise, and I hope you enjoyed the articles I was presenting today. And I hope I see you again next week, and I say goodbye for now. Bye.
Humanity has been on an epic journey of discovery, learning the truth about the world we live in. New discoveries about the true origins of humanity, ancient history, free energy, as well as the systematic corruption of world governments are now on the forefront of our daily reality. Is the world headed towards destruction based on control and power? Or is an opportunity now being presented to shift and uplift into a higher consciousness? My name is Mel V, co-founder and creative director of Conscious Consumer Network, an independent broadcast network that was launched on the 1st of January 2015. In the last 3 years, Conscious Consumer Network has broadcast over 2,800 shows in multiple languages, featuring guests from across the world, whilst creating media that is aimed at the creation of a free, fair, peaceful, just, sustainable world. Conscious Consumer Network provides full training and an interactive support network for all broadcasters, and we are always looking for inspiring and educational content.
Hi, this is Lady Liberty.
And this is Miro Siegel.
In 2018, Conscious Consumer Network has expanded to multiple broadcast locations, increasing our availability and reach across the world, remaining on the cutting edge of independent media. If we wish to create a better world, we must first create better media, geared towards real education instead of indoctrination.
You guys really are what changing the world is going to be about. It's educating kids at a grassroots level.
Having become a pillar of stability in the turbulent world of independent media, we have even more going on in 2018. Conscious Consumer Network is a publicly funded network, and we rely on all of you to keep us on the air. Show your support for independent media by donating to our 2018 Network Support Fund. Dare to seek a better world. Support independent media.